Welcome to IGTV. We're the Brand New Zeros. I'm Luke. This is Ronan.
I'm Ronan, yeah.
And this is we've been told to do more social. So we're gonna talk about our album that's coming. We've got a single that's out on the
28th of February. Love You If You Let Me, it's called.
Love You If You Let Me.
It's the first single.
Yeah. When did you write that?
January of last year. I was in a very low ebb. I didn't know what I was doing with my life. Ian from Fretzel Records we had done the previous year. He had done a social media.
Try again. Cafe Nero.
Cafe Nero. Drink Nero coffee.
Anyway. Go
on. We contributed as Tractor's mental health album.
Yeah.
On the Fretzel Records label, which was only created really as a vehicle for that mental health album. He decided to do it for profit and actually run a proper label. So he phoned me and said, "I want to sign you," and it was just me at that time.
Yep.
Brand New Zeros hadn't been going since Carlton died, really, had it? He was a drummer, but
No.
a couple of years hadn't really been going. So it was just going to be a record deal for me, and I kind of said, I'm not really ready to know what I'm doing, and I started writing some songs, one of which was Love You If You Let Me, and that was kind of the catalyst for a few other songs that I wrote at the time, which kind of led me to believe maybe if there's something in this. And I rang Ian back and said, look, I think we should go for it. This was, I think, I rang him back in March. So it was kind of...
Because people think it's like an unrequited love song.
Well, it kind of is. It kind of is. It's meant to embody a few different things. It's meant to be a few different things put into the situation of a relationship, but it could be a number of things of unrequited. It could be, all sorts of things. But I don't know. Some of it's quite personal stuff. But there's lots of sort of stuff going on in my head at the time, which I kind of needed to resolve, and it sort of. But at that time, I kind of started writing not for anything. Before, I'd always written for a band, I'd always written for a project, for something I was doing, working towards. At that time, I had no band, I had no record deal, I had nothing. I just decided to write some songs for the sake of writing songs, and actually with a view to maybe someone else recording them. So it kind of let me into this sort of tap this sort of poppy side of me when I wrote some proper shit as well, and some things which kind of were just far too pop for me to ever. But I wanted to kind of explore all that stuff and just write songs for the sake of writing songs, whatever popped into my head. And that was one of the songs that started off life as one I didn't think I'd ever record. And as it sort of developed on, it kind of came back into the fold as such. It kind of became
Well, as we actually recorded it. The first round of it, it kind of sounded it got a bit electro. You'll hear that on the.
Yeah.
It sort of gets a little bit, and then we've gone more punky with this one. It's more like a pop punk.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it was always kind of the first song out of the traps, as far as it was always going to be. So I think it was one of the first ones that we recorded. It was the first one that we were releasing. I think in my mind somewhere there's a bit like that's the first one to lead, to fly the nest as such.
Yeah.
But I think it was always kind of front of the queue.
Yeah.
But it's actually, listen back to the album, it's listening back now, it's not necessarily one in hindsight I would have necessarily chosen for a first single, but it's just kind of the way that it's developed on and with the conversations with the record label. That's not all about us now.
Well, everything as we were recording it, it was always like, this is going to be our
But the thing is, we actually started recording the album meant to be a Ronan McManus solo album.
Yeah, true.
And it wasn't until we actually finished.
I've smashed in.
Yeah, Luke sort of stepped in and said, right, I'll be having some of this. Yeah, so I think as it went on, it became more and more sounded like a band. And then we had about 40 songs of some new songs, some songs which were originally recorded for a solo album that started with Carlton, who's our drummer that we mentioned before, that passed away a couple of years ago. And some of these recordings that we did for the Brand New Zero, meant to be a Brand New Zero second album, So Carlton's done a fair bit of recording, and there will be a fair amount of music coming out posthumously that he's on. Including half of this album. We started recording a second Brand New Zeros album, and then he passed away and it kind of got shelved. But we ended up kind of gravitating towards the songs on the list that had been from those sessions, even though there were loads of other half-written songs, half-recorded songs, unrecorded songs. The ones we ended up with it was basically what I realised we'd done inadvertently is finish off the Brand New Zeros album that we'd started all those years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. So it was kind of, became obvious it was right to call it that.